So, you know how I like to change things, right? Well, that Dell R710, my primary Dell server, one of the first ones I ever got in at Uncle Joe's Playhouse, has been put to real work. And you've seen some of that in a previous video where we set up a virtual machine on there and set up a virtual domain controller for Uncle Joe's Playhouse. But today I'm going to tell you what else we've tasked this server with doing. Now, I love Dell servers. Morton over at my Playhouse loves Lenovo/IBM servers. I've got one in my rack right here, but it's not my preferred server. I just love Dell's. Don't know why, I just do. They work good for me. I loathe HP servers, but I love Dell servers. And I also love Windows Server operating systems. They're stable, they work well. They're not resource pigs like everybody claims they are. Usually the people that claim that have not used Windows Server in any capacity. Linux is fine, but I'm a GUI guy. So I want to show you what we've done with that Dell R710, the primary one with the 3.5-inch hard drive slots, or bays. So here we are on that very same server. And this is the one that I downgraded the processors in. I went with a lower power L5640 Xeon processors. There's 2 of them in here, so that gives me a total of 12 cores and 24 logical processors. And then we went hog wild on the RAM because this unit is going to be primarily running Hyper-V lab machines on it, lab virtual machines, whether they be Linux or Windows or whatever. That's what this server is mainly cut out to do. And in here we also have a Mellanox 10 gig Ethernet adapter. So all of my servers are now connected via 10 gig. So right now it's not doing much of anything. Now the reason I've decided to keep this server is going to be running 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, because it is also my storage server for the home network I have. In addition to having a corporate network, I have a home network, and I like to keep those two separate. Now this one will be running mainly Hyper-V virtual machines for Uncle Joe's Playhouse when I do demo videos or lab videos, that kind of thing. But it's also housing all of my video, audio, music, photos, you name it. This is where they go. If it's multimedia related, this is where it gets stored, including YouTube videos and that kind of thing. So I have my Synology DS918 for my business, and then I have this unit for my home. And the beauty of this is I have so much storage on here, and I'm about to show you how I've got it configured, that I'm able to mirror what's on my DS918 over to here as a backup. So it's a win-win for me. And I'm able to also move what I have on here over to my DS918 and mirror that same stuff there, so that I have 2 copies of my data everywhere. And then I have a couple of large hard drives that I have offsite, either at a relative's house or at a neighbor's house. So in the event, God forbid, the building were to burn to the ground, I have backups, because RAID is not a backup. So I can hear you out there saying it now. Well, you could have put FreeNAS on here. You could have put Unraid on here. Yeah, I could have. I just don't have a use case for them, and I want to run Windows, and I want to run Hyper-V. I like the way Microsoft does virtualization and how they handle it, and I like having the GUI interface, and I like being able to run a piece of software that I am rather fond of called DriveBender. And no, this is not a sponsored video. They have not paid me in any way, shape, or form. I have been using DriveBender ever since I started this channel, since before then. And I'm about to tell you why I like DriveBender so much. So I have a lot of 3.5-inch hard drives laying around. I have, in this server, I have a couple of, well, let's find out. Let's go look. And then I'll show you how I have them configured under DriveBender. So if we go to disk management, I'll give you an idea of how I've got everything set up here. Another reason I love Windows. Yeah, I could do this at the command line if it was Linux, but I'm not a Linux guy. I'm sorry my face is washed out, but it's on a white screen. So, all right. So These are the drives I have in here. So DB2 is actually a 3 terabyte drive. DB5 is a 2 terabyte drive, another 2 terabyte drive, a 4 terabyte drive, a 4 terabyte drive. Let's see, what else do I have in here? 4 terabyte, and then I have, and then I have my SSD drive, which is split up. It's a 256 gig, but it's split up into 2 partitions. So I could put some very fast virtual machines on here if I wanted to, and then the rest is reserved for my operating system. So those are the drives I have in here. And those don't lend well to working with FreeNAS. That's one of the problems I have with FreeNAS and ZFS. So I formatted all these drives to REFS, which is a resilient file system under Windows. Some say it's comparable to ZFS and ButterFS, and as far as error checking, CRC correction, some say it isn't. I mean, you'll read just about anything on the web about it. Some say Microsoft has deprecated some of the features of it, but I have yet to run across that article. I like REFS, and again, no file system is a substitute for backups, so don't trust your files to anything. Back them up regularly. I cannot say that enough. So first off, let me apologize for the horrible color scheme that is DriveBender right now. That is not the scheme I had it set for. There are some issues when logging on remotely, getting the right color scheme on there. I've had this happen to me a couple of times. It's a transient thing, so don't worry about it. But you get an idea. So you'll see that the drive pool is 13.6 terabytes in space. And out of that, I have about, a little less than half of it free. 7 terabytes free out of 13 terabytes. So, and then also down here it tells me what percentage of that is compressed. Documents, music, pictures, you'll see video is the majority of what I have stored on this drive. If I come over here to the individual drives, and what DriveBender does is just takes all the drives and puts them in a pool together, and then it does this little balancing act, just like Unraid does. It's very similar to how Unraid works, but without the parity. Okay, so keep that in mind. You don't have the parity across, or parity striping across the drives like you get with Unraid, and you don't have the redundancy you get like with FreeNAS or Synology, Hybrid RAID, or even RAID 1 or RAID 2. But you do have a feature on here called duplication, which I'm going to show you here in a minute, which I find to be much more flexible than having to allocate a whole drive to a mirrored copy. But one of the nice things about DriveBender is if you click on that little hamburger menu here, as I call it, it gives you the serial number of the drive, the model, the drive state, the smart reporting, how much space is used, how many primary files are on there. I've gone over DriveBender before, but I want to cover the nice, wonderful things about it. And then you can look at your smart statistics, and it'll warn you if something's up. Gives you the current temperature of the drive and how long that drive's been powered up, how many hours it's been, or days it's been powered up. Now, under the settings, and again, I'm not going to do too deep of a dive into DriveBender settings, but if you go under balancing, you'll notice that enable file balancing is set up by default, and it has a balancing schedule that it uses, and you can limit how large you want the drive to be before it's considered full, that kind of thing. I have. Let me tell you about DriveBender. I have moved DriveBender arrays from machine to machine, different versions of Windows between Windows 10 and Windows Server 2019. They do not write your data in a proprietary format. They simply put them into folders with really odd sounding names based on a calculation it does for the folder naming. So I could pull any one of these drives out of the DriveBender array if I were to have a catastrophic failure, and the files are not written in any proprietary format. I could go in there with a file explorer under Windows or even Linux and get the files off of that drive if I needed to. The other thing it allows you to do is what's called duplication. So I don't want everything duplicated, like my movies, for example. I've got the original media so I can re-rip them if something were to happen. So on my private folder, I duplicate everything under there because I don't want to lose my pictures of bunny rabbits and deer frolicking in the meadows, and that's what's in private. That's my story, and I'm sticking to it. But under media, things like my music, sometimes I have one-off copies of audio, or somebody's loaned me a select audio. In other words, I just want those backed up. My family photos, etc., I want those backed up. So I back up the entire shared folder. But under videos, I don't need to back up all of these videos. I don't need a duplicate of them, in other words. Because keep in mind, I mirror all this content onto my Synology DS918. So I have a copy of data. And I have the original Blu-rays or DVDs. I could re-rip them. But certain things I've accumulated over the years, like music videos that I've downloaded off the interwebs, perfectly legal, by the way, tech vids, stuff that I can't reproduce or somebody has created for me. We used to do a little variety show called The Trashy Tina Show. It's a whole episode separate. Things that are hard to rip, like TV shows, because you got to do episodes at a time. And then there are YouTube videos that I download. So I can just tell this on a folder by folder basis what I want duplicated, what I don't want duplicated. And for me, it's much more flexible than FreeNAS or Unraid or anything else I could ever use. So, and the other thing I can do is I can run. I've got lots of CPUs on here. I've got lots of RAM in here. So as you can see, if you watched my setting up a domain controller for Unky Joe's Playhouse, it's running in the background here. So I got Windows, I've got Drive Bender, I've got Hyper-V running. So yeah, I'm set. I'm like a pig in poop or a pig in mud. And there's no limit to what I can do with this now. I've got plenty of shared storage. I've got storage on here I can use if I need to. This unit, I believe, is also mapped to via iSCSI. Let's go look. Yeah, it's got an iSCSI connection to the Synology flash station, the FS1018, on loan to us from Sasha, which is where my virtual machines run off of. So, it just really works for me. I'm finally in a zen place with my lab, and this continuing forward will be my storage server. Now, you're probably thinking, well, Joe, these servers consume a lot of power. Yes, they do. But since I've replaced this with lower power 5640 processors, it's cut the wattage use by about 40 or 50 watts. So this unit is, with 6 hard drives in it, is consuming about the same amount of power as my R720 at about 120 to 140 watts. And I can live with that. That is fine with me for all the benefits it gives me. Plus, I've got a native Windows operating system I can run on here. So, again, win-win for me. Now, I still have another Dell R710 server in my rack, and that's a unit with 2.5-inch drive bays. But again, I really don't have a use case for that one right now. It has a really high-end Xeon processor in there. So I'm leaving that one available if I want to play around again with XCP or VMware or Proxmox for that matter, or something else. And I can find a use for it, but it will not be on 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. And then my IBM X3650 Model 3 is just kind of sitting there as an homage to Morten over at my Playhouse in Denmark. He was kind of my inspiration to get my channel started, 3-4 years ago now. So again, thanks, Morten. And it is a fine, fine server, but I am a Dell man, not an IBM man. But I'm keeping it there because you never know, we could do some lab videos around it as time progresses. So there you go, YouTube. We hope you found the video entertaining and informative as always. Please give us a thumbs up down below. Leave your comments in the comments section if you're so inclined. We take PayPal and Patreon for donations, or if you want to be a subscriber, hit that notification bell, hit the subscribe button. You know the routine. Come back and see us again. I hope you're enjoying our content. February's been a busy month for me. March is going to be busy as well. That's good. Means the economy's roaring ahead, and I brought on I brought on at least one new client, so that's a good thing. It's growing. Please come back and see us again. And don't forget, we'll see you on the other side.